with her blood splashing, and I felt very upset. And there is another incident. I was changing currency and I saw another gunshot. At that time, the store owner of the currency exchange right away took out a gun, tried to protect himself. Based on this kind of scenario, I believe the dangerous level of Rio is full. Okay, now there are already some of the citizens here in Rio. We are going to invite this lady to give grade on Rio's dangerous level. The lady gave 5 grade, which is the worst. And why is that? Because she believes that when she walks out of her house, she felt dangerous is everywhere. She lived in the north zone of Rio, which is quite chaotic. When she goes out, she would be very careful with her properties such as her phone, her purse, etc., in case there is some like theft or robbery happening. Based on her introduction, we know that she lives in the north area of Rio, which is even worse than where we are standing at right now. That's why she gave 5 grade to the dangerous level of Rio. Okay, now there is 2 young people. We'd like to invite them to give grades to Rio's security situation. Okay, she also goes to 5 grade. They also live in the north area of Rio, and they believe that the government puts so little investment in the north area. So the community they are living in is quite dangerous. And it is a consensus that government attach more importance to the south area rather than north area. And they care less to the north area. Okay, I live in south area, but I still feel that it is very dangerous. I don't have any sense of security. Okay, in the community they are living in, it's like in a war zone. When you read news in Rio, the journalists tend to have centralized report on the security issues. Okay, now we are going to invite this gentleman to give grade on Rio's security situation. Now, he also goes to 5. He has already encountered 5 cases of robbery. There is one on the bus, on the street, and even in a touristic spot in the south area, That is a place that you can appreciate the sunset. Even in the tourist spot where government has strengthened the security level, people still can encounter robbery. Now we are seeing a student. Let's have him give grade. Now almost everyone is giving 5 grade. Okay, he also goes to 5. It's very shameful. Okay, let's see if it is possible to get out 5 and for people to choose like 1 to 4. This young gentleman lives in neighborhood security. He lives in a place where also locates the governor's office. Yes, he did live near the governor's office. However, there were a lot of robberies happening. That's why he still goes to 5. Okay, there is a lady with her son. Their opinion is of quite importance because over the past few years there were already 15 kids got shot. We believe the lady's opinion is quite important. Let's see how much grade she would give to Rio. Okay, she decided to ask her grandson to give grade. Okay, the little kid also believes that the security situation in Rio is quite bad. Kids represent a special group, and their feeling is very authentic. He also gives grade 5. He believes that the security situation in Rio is quite chaotic, and he always hears gun shooting and sees robberies. Now, for a kid so little can already see the security situation in Rio is so bad. And we know that slums are the areas where happens the most robberies and violence. And there are already armies and armed police helping improve this situation. However, there isn't any long-term pressure to these violence and crimes. Okay, lastly, let's find a last citizen to give grade. Currently, so far, I am the only one who give grade 4. Let's see how many grades would she give to Rio. Okay, it's still 5. We know that North area citizens come here very often, and the goods price and living cost is actually lower than in South area. For example, in South area, the rental would be around 10,000 RMB. So middle class would tend to choose to live in South area and work in North area. She also encountered 2 to 3 times of robbery. If you live in Rio, you will come across this kind of crimes more or less. When we interviewed those citizens, a lot of them mentioned that they encountered some sort of crimes and witnessed shotgun shooting. Most of them have held negative impression on Rio's security situation. Okay, if I were to give grade to the security level of Rio, I would give 2 to 3 because firstly, I live in South area and I have never encountered any gun shooting. I've never imagined that there are so many people thinking that Rio's security situation could be so bad. For me, I live in a very high security community because from the front gate to the apartment I'm living in, you have to pass 5 gates or 5 doors. Now I understand why they put so many gates. Even though I live in South area, the security situation is still not that good. Right in the opposite side of the street happened 2 cases of bank blast that's drawn various attention from the public. Let's go across the street and see what happened. Let's see what kind of bank blast has happened to the banks. According to the local report, on the beginning 3 months, bank robbery has gained record high, and there were 20 cases of bank robbery happened in the first 3 months of this year. We know that the security situation in Rio is not that good, and the bank has strengthened the security level. To enter a bank, you have to go through a series of security checks. Okay, last week, this bank went through a bank. There was a bank robbery happened to this bank. And just within 8 days, 2 robberies happened. The robbers even used some gunpowders and try to blast the bank, and then even they took the ATM machine away. We can see the ceilings and the glass doors were broken. Now the staff members are doing restoration of the bank. The robbery took place in 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, And when citizens are asleep, they usually hear some gun shooting or blast sound. Sometimes they even worry that the whole building might fall down because of the strength of the blast. That is just like what happened in the movie. We know that the governor's office is located nearby, and the government put more security forces in the south area. You see that on the ceiling, there are several places got broken, and there is even one ATM machine got taken away. These places just like the places where there would be terrorist attack. However, Rio is not one of those areas. Rio is a stable city. Just as I mentioned that by the beginning of the first 3 months of this year, there were already more than 20 cases of robbery. The police force haven't got any effective measures or plans to tackle the problem. We know that the criminals are using more and more efficient and powerful arms. Sometimes they even use rifles. And the power of that kind of guns can even reach helicopter. And we know that there was one sniper shooting helicopter in a slum. Yes, during that time, our team was doing live broadcasting on the improvement of Rio after 1 year of Olympic Games. We were interviewing the infrastructure improvement. However, right after the broadcasting, we heard about this case that a sniper shooting down the helicopter. Just when I walked out of the interview, I saw this helicopter falling down. There is even one ammunition corps transferring powerful gunpowders and ammunitions to Rio. As long as you would like to pay some money, you can get or acquire some dangerous weapons. You mentioned that the sniper can be very powerful, and that reminds me of another case that happened recently, that is just last week. We know that a mother's hug could be very warm and very safe. However, 3 meters away from here, a baby who was held by his mother was shot by the bullet that is very far away from the school. Now the baby is out of danger now. Have you heard about this case? Yes. I just went past this school yesterday, and I thought about interviewing the school. However, I thought this whole case was too bloody. And I was told that the bullet was from this slum. Slum is one of the most dangerous zones in Rio, and a lot of danger cases can happen in these areas. If we go forward, we might see that slum. Okay, one thing to add on, the urban plans of the map. If you look at the map of Rio, you can see that slums is just quite close to the regular residential communities, and in slums there are also a lot of residents living there. In Rio, there are more than 700 slums. 1/3 of population is living in or near slums. People in and near slums are put in risk of this kind of crimes. Real government attach great importance to the security problem in Rio. I know that just a few days ago that the Rio government has assembled a special task force to tackle the security problems in Rio. Real citizens living in a place like this, they've already gained their wisdom in how to tackle the problems of danger. Let's interview some of the real citizens, or let's just observe how do the citizens, what's the difference between them and the citizens in China. There is one popular item that's used by almost everyone here. Now let's see the passengers go by with the information area. We know that there are a lot of people in China who's working while using their phone. Yes, when I was in China, I was one of them. However, when I come to Rio, I have given up that habit. In Rio, there was no single one passenger would use phone while they are walking on the street, because it is very dangerous. If you are using your phone while walking on the street, it is very likely for your phone to be taken away. And phones are very pricey. For example, iPhone X in Rio costs the most in the world. For a iPhone X at 64G, it's around the price of 2 iPhone X in China. It is very dangerous to use your phone on the street. When you take your phone out on the street, it is like telling the people or the criminals that you are very rich. Every step we walk by, we will see a slum on the mountain. There was a couple saying that a grenade happened in the slum, causing a bullet shooting a baby in a school nearby. From this perspective, you can see that the slum is quite close to other blocks. Just a few steps walking away, you can reach the slum. For a slum at this small scale, if you want to keep it stable, there is for 1 to 2 policemen is not enough at all. That's why the government launched a plan of fixed policemen in slums. And now it is already 10 years after they launched this plan. We can see that the plan has not been very effective. The original object of the plan was very good. However, now we are seeing police patrol cars driving through regularly. Unlike policemen in China, Rio's policemen are all equipped with guns because they are facing with big challenges. Just now we mentioned the plan launched by the government, which is the stagnation point policemen in slums. However, those policemen got injured and some might even lost their life. That make the government to reconsider whether the plan is good or correct, because this kind of stagnation point plan have increased the confliction between the policemen and the criminals. In the slums and also in the streets of those slums, the layout is quite complicated. It is very challenging for the policemen to locate or even to chase the criminals. I remember there is this scenario in a movie I watched that once the policeman entered the slum, even though the policeman is quite strong, it is not that possible for them to conquer or to defeat the criminals within the slum because of the complicated typology. I also follow the social medias from the police station in Rio, and I saw that a lot of police persons died or got injured due to their conflict with the battles between the against the criminals. We know that not only the policemen, the government, even the Brazil government have attached great importance to the security level in Rio. The president of Brazil even sent out troops to safeguard Rio. It is very hard to believe that you would require a troop to safeguard the security for a country that is politically stable. One might think what's really happening behind all of this. During the Olympic Games in Rio, there were also arms sent out to safeguard the game. During that period, robbery cases and theft cases as well as gunshot cases were less. However, recent years, according to the statistics from the news, we see that even though there are federal arms safeguarding Rio for 2 to 3 months, the whole security situation has not improved. What's your take on it? We know, I think that although there are arms and troops sent out in Rio, and the number of those soldiers are not enough to be spread out into every corner of Rio. They cannot cover each corner, every places. For the places where armies have entered, they are also looking for measures to tackle criminals. There is one slum that whose entrance is stagnant by armies. And the pre-task preparation for the armies is also very important. According to the policy of the government, the federal armies will stay in Rio for more than half year. For these 6 months, the army will be united with the local people as well as the local police persons, so to eradicate the criminal cases. I think that will be only temporary, and it will cost a lot, and that won't be a long-term solution to tackle criminal cases. I think I would like to share some experience for the visitors from China. Yeah, I agree with you. For us who is living in Rio, you can see that we are quite different from the people who live in China. So tourists, if you come to Rio, please don't use your phone on the street. There are also other differences you can observe and try to learn from their living wisdom. You can see that people on the street, they don't wear quite expensive clothes. They don't wear expensive clothes, they don't use expensive bags. Some of the popular items in China, for example, the Havana slippery. It's very popular in China. And people will wear slippery on the street and go to some venues. If you look at the passengers on the street, you will see that it is very common that people just wear slippery shorts. Because it is very important that if you go on the street, you don't show your wealth. After I come to Rio, I think I become a different person. I pay less attention to materials. I have saved a lot of money because a lot of items will not be necessary for me. I won't need to buy a lot of stuff. Yes, the situation in Sao Paulo is different with here in Rio. According to the latest investigation, Rio is the first touristic destination for tourists. What other advice will you give to the tourists? I have heard a story recently. With the economy developing, people's income get more and more, and we know a lot of tourists using expensive cameras and taking pictures on the street. However, that would not be the case in Rio. Some tourists might not understand. With the security situation like this, we might suggest tourists not to carry your expensive cameras onto the street. Don't show it out. Yes, I am a big fan of camera. However, since I have come to Rio, I don't use cameras on the street. Now we have come to a kebab place. Since the start of this live streaming till now, we haven't encountered any crimes. Actually, there are robberies happen to us sometimes when we were doing live broadcasting. Our equipment got taken away. Good evening. I am a journalist with CGTN. Just now I saw a question from the viewer. After such a long time, you've working since the start of this live streaming. It is very dangerous for you just to walk on the street. Did you hire bodyguard? Yes, we do. We do have a bodyguard with us. Let's let the camera zoom in at the bodyguard. The bodyguard lives in the north area of Rio. We can interview this bodyguard since he lives in the slum. Our viewers might ask us why we won't hire a professional security bodyguard, but a people who just live in the slum. Yes, because people who live in the slum are more experienced in self-defense and in protecting themselves from the crimes. Sometimes I would need to travel from the international airport
邦政府到州政府到这个市政府呢，也都是为解决这个问题正在进行努力。但是呢，我们可以看到，里约的治安问题呢，并不是一个一时半会儿用很短的时间就可以根除的问题。
Attach great importance to the security issues in Rio. However, this issue cannot be tackled in short term. Hope is just around corner because currently the whole national strength is put together to tackle a city's security situation. Now we are looking at a graffiti wall. And not so far away, we can see the dwelling police force in Islam. That is the most important forces in security. And that kind of force is like a special force in China. Those forces is the core force in the fighting against criminals. Now we are looking at the headquarters of this special force. Even though we have these special forces in Rio, problems are still happening. We hope that in the next 1 year, with the help of these special forces and with the unition between the special forces and the local policemen, problems can be solved. Now we have come to we were almost going to the entrance of the special task force. Firstly, thank you so much for joining me in this live streaming. Yes, I am a little bit nervous, and I look for more opportunities in joint live broadcasting. Yes, we will have more coverage in Rio and in Brazil. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. There will be more news from our website, and we welcome you for looking at them. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching.